Thanks so much for being here. Hi, I'm Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio and my sewing tutorial channel on YouTube, 360 Handmade Bags. So, infomercial, please give me the thumbs up. That really helps in the YouTube land algorithms. Like, comment, subscribe, share. If you're able to hype my video, that would even be great as well. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you all for being here. Even if you're a veteran bag maker, and I go into detail with all of my bag making tutorials. So today's bag is a brand new pattern from Bloom and Needle. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for contacting me and asking me not only to be a tester for your new pattern, the Mila shoulder bag, but also to do a tutorial on it as well. Now, the tutorial isn't quite as what pattern is because it just depends on, and I'll explain it. So this is the Mila shoulder bag from Bloom and Needle. Look at how pretty this is. Now, I still have to train the seams with hot towels that I heat up in my dryer, and I leave the hot towels in the bag and stuff the bag full and leave them in for 24 hours to help shape the bag. But look at this. Isn't this a beautiful, classy looking bag? This is absolutely stunning. Look at that. So the features of this bag are, all right, this shoulder strap. Number one change in the pattern was the shoulder. It's written for a 1.5 inch shoulder strap, 1.5 inch hardware, and a buckle. Now, I didn't have a buckle in the right colors that I wanted to use, and it wasn't the right width anyways. And I tried to order some 1.5 inch buckles, but they wouldn't have arrived in time for me to do this tutorial and for the pattern testing time frame. So I changed the strap to a 1 inch strap, and instead of a buckle, I used my wide mouth adjustable slider for my strap as a pretend buckle. So what I did with the strap is I made it according to how it was in the pattern, and it's just a shoulder strap, not an adjustable strap. Now, these are a little slidey. They can still slide, but they're not going to fall off. And what I've done is on the bottom edge of the strap here is I have used decorative ribbons or rivets. So the colors of my hardware are antique brass and gold to kind of reflect with the colors that are in this bag. So I used a gold rivet, 2 antique brass, and a gold on each end of the strap. On these amazing decorative corners, I went gold, antique brass, gold, antique brass, and gold. So and they're different sizes, so they kind of give a little bit of a zhuzh and texture. And then we have these interesting strap connectors that go on either side of your zipper points here. And you've already seen the corners. These are absolutely stunning. They really zhuzh up the bag. Before I forget, all of my fabric, all of my exterior fabric is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. The interior lining is water-resistant canvas from EMMALINE bags, and it is the Night Shades or the Night Plant water-resistant canvas on the inside. I only interfaced with a fusible woven EMMALINE bags, EB Fuse medium. I interfaced all the exterior pieces. I didn't do the lining because it has a heavy enough structure as it is. So all of the exterior is from Sam Fabric. So look at that. And then the base, I use that same gorgeous Merglow fabric in this gold, very russet, golden russet, very fall, perfect for the fall. And some purse feet as well. And then I kind of zhuzhed up the zipper pulls. I used the bottle cap style zipper pulls, but I added on this tassel just to really elevate the look of this bag even more. And then on the back, we have a zipper pocket. Now it's a typical zipper pocket that you build it with a facing, put the facing onto the wrong side, and then have just a zipper. But I wanted to elevate it a little bit more and to match the strap and the coordinating color. So this is a large zipper pocket inside. Now I have in the tutorial, I have put text across the bottom when I was making this zipper pocket. Do not sew the bottom of this zipper pocket. Saying that right from the start. I did, and then I had to pick it out because this will be one of our turning holes. When we do the lining on this bag, you will not sew the entire bottom of the lining. You'll just sew the sides, and then the lining and this zipper pocket are used as the turning holes. So I'm just saying that now. There is text across the screen in the tutorial saying that as well. So of course, like I said, I've made this gorgeous tassel, and this hardware is from, the tassel connector is from Waywack. So we have this, like I said, the zipper pocket on the back, and then when you open it up, on the back wall, you can just see it right there, is another zipper pocket. And I use the zipper facing for this one. So this one has curved edges, and the other one is like a rectangle. And I use that one on the inside zipper pocket, which is the same size as the exterior. And I use the bronzy croco as the interior contrasting. So there you can see the night plants lining from EMMALINE bags, and it has all of these gorgeous fall colors. And then on the front of my bag, I have a double slip pocket right here. So this is a really sharp looking bag, and it's very, very classy. I'm really starting to love shoulder bags again. I loved them when I was a teenager and when I was working. Then I got into crossbodies, but I'm really starting to like a shoulder bag, and I love the size of this one. It's a medium-sized bag. It's a really, really nice bag. So figure out what colors you want to do your Mila bag in. I also want to thank Phoebe before I forget. Phoebe from Bloom and Needle contacted me to not only ask me to be part of her tester group for the Mila, but also to record the first tutorial for it. So I really appreciate that, Phoebe. Thank you so much. And I hope we can partner a lot more in the future when you have other fabulous patterns come out as well. So figure out what colors you're going to use and what fabrics you're going to use, and join me and get your pattern, of course, with Bloom and Needle. And I'll have the pattern link in the description box below, and join me in sewing this amazing shoulder bag, the Mila shoulder bag from Bloom and Needle. All right, so we're going to be working with pattern piece C, the bottom panel. And on the pattern piece, there's a template to mark. I punch holes in my pattern so that I can draw my purse feet markings. And on my bottom panel piece, I have it interfaced with 4 layers of fusible woven, and that gives it a Decaville heavy consistency. So I have already installed 3 of the purse feet, and I'm going to install the 4th one in the event that you have never installed purse feet. So there's one of them, these came in a pack of 6. This kind of a washer, although I don't know why, because as soon as you open up the prongs, you can't fit it in these 2 holes. Anyhow, so I've already got my hole punched. So I'm going to pop the purse foot into the hole. Now, when you have your prongs in, when you open them up, make sure that they're going in the area that you're not going to have them in a stitch line. Like if I turn them this way and open them, it'll lay this way, and it could be in the way of a stitch line. So turn them. I have them going this way, so they'll lay this way and this way when they open up. This is the handiest thing ever to open up these prongs. I've broken many nails. I apologize for the noise. It's the garbage truck going by. So take your little teeth on your staple remover, pop them in between the prongs, just give a little bit of a squeeze just to slightly open them up. This saves your nails using this. And then I just take the washer. A lot of washers come looking like the ones that you put on your magnetic snaps. This one isn't. So I'm just going to take both prongs and put the prongs inside just one of the holes of the washer and open up the prongs, splay them open, and then one prong will hold the washer down. And then I take duct tape and put that over top of the washer and the prongs to protect them and to hold them in place. All right, so there is our base piece already done. All right, so with your pattern piece A, your front panel, you have two exteriors cut. Put them right sides together, and we're going to clip this edge together. Ensure that your edges are all lined up. One's not sitting higher than the other. And then we're going to stitch this seam together at the seam allowance in the pattern. Then we're going to flip it open and top stitch on both sides. And I'm just going to put double-sided tape on either side of the stitching because that will help when I open up this faux leather. Because it's of the thickness, it'll help hold that seam allowance down for when I top stitch on either side of it. Double-sided tape is your friend. Just pull the seam apart. Nails are too long. Okay, and then I will just top stitch on either side of that seam, the stitching. All right, and there is our top stitching. All right, so now we're going to take our pattern piece I, our corner accent pieces, and you have two pairs cut. You have to, out of the exterior fabric, and I'm using this as my contrasting exterior fabric. And you have you cut two sets, and two are mirrored. And they also have the rivet placement holes marked, and I punched those so that I can draw them as a template. And now we have to figure out how this gets set on here. So we're going to start with the front. Oh, and put double-sided tape on the back of each of your pieces. So I have two going this way and two going this way. So they're mirrored. I just have to figure which is which. All right, so on the front, Okay, I see how this goes. Okay, there we go. I have, so on the front right corner, you're lining up this edge and this edge with this edge for the box corners, right like that. And then we will stick those pieces on, and we'll do that for the back piece as well. So make sure that they're all lined up. And then that piece for here. This will be pretty with these accents. I want to make sure I have one that matches this one. Oh, doesn't matter. They're all pretty similar. Okay, and line up the left one. And then take your pattern piece B, the back panel piece, and then do the same with these pieces. Very pretty. Okay, line them up. So now we're going to, on all four corners, we're going to stitch around the curved edge at a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'll just start at the side here. Go slow around your curves. So I'm going to do one corner first, and then I'll do the other 3 corners that are remaining in fast forward. All right, so I've stitched that on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can see that I have my rivet holes already marked, so we're going to punch those. I may need my Japanese hole punch to get at these other ones. Okay. We will need my Japanese hole punch to get at the other ones that are too far in. Beautiful. Okay, I have, oh, this one didn't come through. Okay, and I just use this little craft mat that I got on Amazon, because as you can see, the hole punch does leave some pretty nasty little grooves in it. All right, so I'll just set that aside. So we have our holes punched into our curve, and get your rivets. Now I'm doing a combination of rivets to give it a kind of a design. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes on each corner. So 4 times 6 is 36. So I'm using a combination of gold rivets and antique brass rivets, and the gold rivets are a little bigger. All right, so I think that this is going to be my placement to have it a little unusual looking. So now I will pop the caps onto the other side. And these hopefully aren't too long. And then we will punch them, and then I will finish the rest of the corners on fast forward. So we're just going to take our hole punch and punch each of these. I have to stand up for this. Oh, the cap came off. That's what's wrong. There's our finished corner. So I'm going to go on fast forward and finish all the other corners up to this point, and I'll be back. All right, so finally got all of my rivets placed on each of the corners and all of the corners stitched around at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then I put duct tape in behind all of the rivets. And I was having a little trouble with some of these rivets. Please keep in mind that if your rivet posts are longer than they should be, they won't, or they may not press in straight. And then you get a little dent in here from your rivet press, and then they go in crooked, and then the cap will come off. So you'll probably have seen me in the fast forward using my needle nose pliers to pull off all of those rivets that didn't get pressed straight. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to be taking our back panel piece and lay it right side up. I have the top center and the bottom center marked. Then you're going to take one of your zipper overlay pieces. There are two. The back one in the pattern shows you doing the back zipper using your pattern piece G, zipper pocket facing, sewing it on, and then turning it to the wrong side. I'm going to use both pattern piece G and pattern piece H as zipper overlays instead of turning it to the other side. So right for this particular one, I'm using on the back, I'm using pattern piece H, and it's the curved zipper overlay, and the other one is the rectangle, and I've used the bronzy croco, and I'll use that on the inside of the bag, and I'm going to use this one with the curved edge on the outside of the bag, and I cut the coordinating accent color as to my corners with this overlay. And on the back, so I folded it in half so with a crease so I know where my center is, and on the back I've put double-sided tape on both sides, and take the backing off, and then from the bottom edge here, there's a measurement in the pattern to measure up from the bottom centered, and that's where we're going to lay and center the zipper overlay. So there's my center crease, and I'm just going to lay the bottom edge up against my zipper, and then the top part of that edge will fall into place. So now your back is going to look like this. And now I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around the outer edge perimeter, and I'll be pulling my threads to the back so we don't see any back stitching on the right side. And hand crank around your corners if you have to, only because I'm doing it because I have stuff in my way that this bag will hit. I'll get my stylus so I can pull these threads to the back, the first set of tails that I've left. Tie them together and continue stitching. And tie them off. Okay, now I'm going to just fold this in half so that these two edges on either side of the facing meet, and I'm just going to clip a hole into the center, slide my scissors, and we're going to cut straight down the center. When you get to the end of your edge of your zipper facing, try and do it this way, slide the top of your scissors underneath the facing and don't cut the facing, and then just snip as far as you can go without cutting the stitches on the either side. Just clip and then slide that under and then snip. So you have it cut, and then flip it to the wrong side, and then on the top edge just kind of snip up from the where you finished your cutting, the center, and then just cut away that excess piece. Doesn't have to be pretty, as long as you can't see it on the other side, and we just throw it away. And then we'll do the other same for the other side. All right, that's what it looks like on the ugly side and on the pretty side. All right, take one of your short zippers and make sure your zipper pull is on. Before I put my zipper pull on, I'm going to mark my centers on my zipper. I always cut my zipper tape a little longer than what's the pattern says, just to be on the safe side. And I always mark my centers on the front and on the back. So put your zipper tape on, your zipper pull on. All right, so now we're going to work on the actual zipper pocket before we sew it onto the back. So you have pattern piece E, your zipper pocket piece. You have 4 lining cut. We're going to use 2 lining pieces right now, and your centers are cut on both of them. So on the top edge of one of them, put double-sided tape. And with our zipper pull oriented to the left, zipper tape is right side up. Line up your centers of your zipper tape onto your lining piece. And then we're going to stitch across that, or baste that across. Actually, we can stitch it. It's black. And the one thing I didn't do was I didn't burn my zipper ends to prevent fraying. Okay. And then zipper tape across the top edge of the other lining piece. Or sorry, double-sided tape across the other top edge of the lining piece. And then you have this pocket, this zip part of the zipper already sewn on. Flip this part, this zipper edge up, and then align that zipper edge, match your centers, and align it right side up with the zipper onto the right side of your lining piece. So that this is what it's going to look like. And when you look into the pocket, when you open up your zipper, you're looking into the right side. And we're going to stitch that on as well. Move your zipper pull out of the way, needle down, presser foot up. Pull your zipper pull out of the way. All right. Now, when you open it up, you've got these seams in the way. So we're going to top stitch those seams down, but first I put double-sided tape along that top edge of that seam allowance to help fold it down and to help keep it down. And do that on both sides. Bags are held together with a lot of double-sided tape. All right, open up. Oops, that doesn't want to stick. All right, open up your 2 linings, wrong side up, and fold down your zipper on both sides. So that seam allowance that we just stitched. And then we're going to top stitch on either side of here, but I'm going to do it from the side of the zipper that I can see. And I'm just going to stitch that on right up against the zipper teeth. Perfect. And then go up the other side. And that'll hold that seat, that'll hold that zipper down. Or those zipper edges down. All right. Double-sided tape across the top edge of the zipper and the bottom edge. Watch that your zipper pull doesn't come off. Okay, pull the backing off your tape. And this is what we have so far. And ensure that your zipper pull is pulling and closing to the left. And then take your back panel, I'm going to turn it back this way, and center your back panel over top of that zipper. Let's see how that looks. I can come over to my right a little bit. I might be out of camera as I fiddle with this. Okay, and then center your zipper facing over top of your zipper so that you have the right amount of, the same amount of space over from the edge of your facing to your zipper teeth. All right, just like that. Keeping both of your zipper lining pieces open, we're going to now stitch all the way around the inside perimeter of the zipper facing, pulling our tails to the back, pulling our threads to the back. And when you get to your zipper pull, needle down and pull your zipper pull out of the way. Lift your presser foot and pull it out of the way. All right, get my stylus and pull those threads to the back. All right. Get that thread out of the way. Okay. And then just take your threads and tie them together. All right. So now we have our right sides together of our lining. You're going to have one that's a little longer. Pull your sides away and pull off any double-sided tape that's exposed. Actually, I'm just going to clip that because we want to sew down the sides. So pull your sides away. I just clip them out of the way. My double-sided tape won't come off. And just pull that away so that you can clip it. And we're going to sew down this side and across this edge. You can get it into frame here. So we're going to sew down this side, across the bottom, and up the other side. You can trim this off now if you want to, and then clip the bottom. I'm not the straightest cutter. Okay, and then just clip the bottom edges together. All right, and we're going to pull this up. When we stitch, we're going to have it right side up and pull the sides back and stitch over top of from the top down, over top of our zipper teeth, all the way down at the top. And I'm going to back stitch over my zipper teeth, as long as my machine lets me and won't break my thread. All right, so now we're going to be adding our longer measurement zipper tape to the top of the top curve of the back panel and the front panel. There, on each of the back and the front panel, there's a certain measurement from this edge to here. Make a mark on both sides, and the same on the top edge of your front panel as well. And I've laid double-sided tape between those two marks on both the front and the back. On your long zipper, I've marked the center, and I've marked that on the front and the back. And then in the pattern, there's a measurement from each short edge to measure in and draw a line. And I've marked it on the front and the back. You'll need it on both sides, both front and back. And same with this edge, the measurement, draw a line on the front and the back. And now we're going to separate our zipper. And I'm going to take the back panel and take the double-sided tape off. And then I'm going to line up my center mark on my zipper with the center mark on the back panel. Now the double-sided tape does help lay the zipper tape around that curve, but if you're using clips, you might want to clip the clip it into place, and you may need to snip little tiny snips into your zipper to make it fit properly. And the measurement from the short edge of the zipper will match the mark that you made here. And then just clip that at the ends. And then feed your zipper tape around the curve. Your panel's going to start curving up. And then I'll just clip this here at the end just to keep it in place. And then and you can see that the zipper has started to curve up. And then I'll repeat for the other side. So zipper teeth down, that's right sides together. And my center on my front panel is actually where we stitch the two panels together. It should be. In the pattern she has that when you're at this mark on the zipper, you're going to pull your zipper tail down and sew a 1/2 inch onto the exterior and across there to sew it down, and then we'll do it again on the other side. So and then just basting this on at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so we've pulled that down and it has stitched right off the edge, and I started it that way as well. And we'll repeat for the back piece. In the way of my blinds. Sun's swinging around now to this side. It's getting warmer. All right, so now we're going to attach our bottom base onto our panel. So starting with the front, we're going to put right sides together. Line up our center. So our center on our front panel should be our stitched pieces together, and clip them right sides together. And then we're going to stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern. And we will repeat that for the other side with the exterior, so right sides together. This is going to be a nice looking bag. This will be the colors I've used here will make an amazing fall winter bag. All right, and then we'll stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern. Oops, my clip got in the way. All right, now when we open up our bag, we're going to fold our seams down towards the base of the bag. So I'm going to put double-sided tape on this side and this edge in order to hold it down better. I think I'll use 1/4 inch. No, that'll be too wide. All right, so I'll put double-sided tape down the inside of that seam. And on the inside of this part of the base on this seam. All right. And there goes Murphy. All right, so I'm just going to open up the bag and push those seams in towards the base of the bag, and the double-sided tape will hold it down. Okay, just like that. And then on this side, we're going to top stitch along here on this side of the fold. All right, so now we take our side panels, the sides, and we're going to clip our edges together, matching up our bottom corners here. and making sure that they are aligned, and we're going to sew up our sides. And make sure that your corner accents are lined up as well. When you get to your zipper tails, tuck them in so they don't get caught in your seam allowance. I've had that happen, if they'll stay out of the way. These guys want to pop up, get in my way. Okay, and the same on the other side. That base is pretty heavy duty. Line all that up. Oops. Okay, and then we're going to sew up out both sides at the seam allowance in the pattern. Making sure that when you get to where your zipper tails are, that they stay out of your seam, your stitch line. All right, now we're going to box the corners. Okay, so match up your seams. Open up your seam allowance, the side seams, and line it up with your side edge, the side center mark on your base, and clip. Mine's pretty stiff. I have to do it down here. Need a lot of clips. And the same for the other side. Oh, I still have that clip there. Gets a little thick down here. Turn it this way so you can see what I'm doing. All right, line up my center line with my center mark. And we're going to stitch across here on both sides at the seam allowance in the pattern. ensuring you keep that side seam splayed open. All right, so I'm just going to trim off my seams, especially these corners. Oh, they're pretty thick. All right, so now we're going to be working on the interior slip pocket. So you'll need your pattern piece F, slip pocket piece. And I'm doing mine a little different than what's in the pattern. You have a longer edge on the top and bottom and shorter edge down the sides. I should have oriented my material this way, but it's going to be not the right way. So how I do mine, flip it over to the wrong side, and I have a 1/2 inch line drawn from each short edge, double-sided tape down both sides. And take, excuse me, the raw edge and fold it in right up to that line. 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch line is fine. And then repeat for the other side. And the tape, sorry, forgot to mention the double-sided tape goes on the wrong side. And then double-sided tape halfway up one side and halfway up the other side on the fold. It doesn't have to be perfect measurement, or it doesn't have to be pretty. And then take your 2 corners on each side and match them so your right side is out, and match those 2 folded edges evenly, and the double-sided tape will help stick them together. And do that on the other side. Squish all the air out. It doesn't seem to want to be even. I'm not a very good cutter. It's going to be my right side. Okay. And then baste across the top edge to close that raw edge. Just baste that at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Squish all the air out. All right, so this is my right side. And then you have your strip of your slip pocket binding or facing edge to finish off that raw edge. Double-sided tape on either raw edge and draw center line. So lay that wrong side up and then lay your raw edge that you just basted at that line you just drew. And when you fold this edge to this edge, make sure that your edges meet at the ends, and then that will ensure that your fold will be pretty even on the front and the back for when we top stitch. Your back may be a little longer. So I'm going to top stitch this across at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and then 1/4 of an inch from the edge as well, just to have it 2 stitch lines. So I'm going up about, 1/4 of an inch from the raw edge and 1/8 of an inch from the raw edge. Trim those raw edges down, that overhang. And then just burn your ends. And make sure your threads are melted as well. All right. Just finger press a seam in the bottom. And then I'm just going to fold it in half because we're going to make a double slip pocket. Make a crease. Excuse me. Okay. And I'm going to take my white gel marker and I'm just going to line up along that crease mark and just draw a faint line just so that I can see it and the stitching will cover it. All right, so on the wrong side of your slip pocket, put double-sided tape down the bottom edge on the fold. Take one of your pattern piece D main lining panels. You have 2 linings cut. Take one of them and you have your centers cut out of the top and the bottom edge. There's a certain measurement to mark up from the bottom edge. So line up your ruler along there on the bottom edge, a certain measurement from the bottom edge up. Take your slip pocket and line up your center line and line up the bottom folded edge of your slip pocket along your ruler, and the double-sided tape will hold it in place. And I'm just going to use some painter's tape just to hold the top edge down. I'm not sewing that. All right. And there we have it taped on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down and across the bottom and up the center line. We're going to do one stitch to one side of the center line, get to the top, on the top stitching, go over one more stitch, and then down this along the center line on the other side of it, finish across the bottom and up the side. You could back stitch over that zipper overlay, zipper pocket overlay. Just back stitch over top of that join. All right, and put the painter's tape away for now until the next time we need it. And there is our double slip pocket. Very nice. All right, so we will need our last pattern piece D, the main panel lining. We have one. And then I'm using pattern piece G, the zipper pocket facing. I'm going to be using that as a facing like we did on the back of the bag. All right, so you're going to need your other zipper. So we're going to work right now with our the last two pattern piece E zipper pocket pieces. You have two of them, and you have your tops marked, centers marked. We're going to fold our zipper tape, our last short edge zipper, in half and mark the centers. I always do it on the front and the back. Make sure your zipper pull is on. Okay. And with one of your lining pieces, double-sided tape across the top edge. And we will take we'll have our zipper pull closing to the left. So your right side of your lining piece is up and right side of your zipper is up. Line up this top edge of your zipper tape at the center mark with the center mark on your lining. burn your zipper ends. I forgot to do that. Okay, and then we're going to baste this on. I'm just going to baste it on at about just maybe a smidge more than an eighth. All right, then take your other lining panel and double-sided tape across the top edge. All right, so right side up with your lining panel and turn your lining panel with the zipper sewn on and lift that straight edge and line up that straight edge right sides together with your pocket lining pieces and line up your center mark and along the top edge. And baste this on as well. All right, and then double-sided tape. We want to open this up and then flatten out our zipper. And I'll put double-sided tape along there so that we can hold that seam allowance down, and then we'll fold it over and then we'll top stitch on both sides. You can hear the birds out there. Okay, open up your lining panels and fold that seam allowance down against the wrong side of your panel. And then we're just going to top stitch across these folded edges here. Just top stitch that down or sew that down. Or baste it down. I'm just sewing it. Okay. And then we're going to just put double-sided tape on the top edge and the bottom edge of our zipper edges. And we'll just put this panel aside for the moment. So get your zipper overlay and your panel piece, and on the wrong side of the zipper overlay, we're going to just put double-sided tape kind of in the center of the top and the bottom edge. All right, so we'll just take the backing off. And there's a certain measurement from, oops. There's a certain measurement from the bottom edge that you measure up and line that up. And I'm going to fold my overlay in half, right sides together, so I can make a crease because I've already pulled the backing off my double-sided tape. And lay that down on your lining panel up against the ruler and centered. All right. So we will stitch now all around the outer edge, pulling our, I'm not going to worry about pulling my threads to the back because this is the inside, so it's not really going to be seen as much. But top stitch all around that, the outer edge of that perimeter. All right, and then the same as we did with the other overlay, I'm just going to fold it kind of in halfish, cut a little hole, and then snip along the center and make sure I slide the overlay over top of my top edge of my scissors so that I don't cut the overlay and I cut the material underneath. All right, flip it to the other side and then cut your vertical lines up past the hole there. Nothing pretty, and then just fold that back and trim it off. Just as long as you don't see any of the cut edges on the right side of the pocket. No one will see this mess but you. All right, so there's the ugly side. And there's the pretty side. All right, we are now going to take our zipper pocket, take the double-sided tape off, or take the backing off, I should say, and lay it with the zipper teeth up and your zipper pulling to the left. Don't get stuck like I'm doing. Come on. Okay. And then lay your zipper facing over top of your zipper, kind of centering it. and straighten it out. All right, and then we will stitch all the way around the inside edge to secure that zipper. And making sure that your two lining panels are open. All right, so in the pattern, she has us closing up the zipper pocket. So pull the top part down, hard to see. I'm just going to clip the sides. Pull that away and clip that so it's like that. And then trim off that excess on the bottom there. Without cutting your exterior lining panel. Okay, and we're going to stitch, pull this aside, stitch down here, and I'm going to back stitch over top of my teeth a few times, go down the side, across the bottom, and up the other side. And I go over the zipper teeth a couple of times as well. Okay, so we're going to take both our zipper pocket panel and our slip pocket panel, and we're going to put them right sides together. And we're just going to be clipping the sides, and we're only going to be sewing the sides. We're leaving the entire bottom open. That's going to be our turning hole. It's a very easy bag to make, really. And it's so stylish and classy looking. Okay, and we'll do the same with the other one. I always start at the bottom to make sure that all the bottom edges line up. All right, and then we'll sew down each of these sides at the seam allowance in the pattern, leaving the bottom open, including our box corners. And it says to trim your seam allowance down. I'm not going to, just because I know that this fabric does fray. So I'll leave the full seam allowance. All right, so the exterior of the bag is right side out. So now we can turn our bag exterior. All right, there is the front of the bag. I have a little flaw in the faux croco here, but all right, we're on the home stretch. So I've installed my bag tag on the front of the bag. All right, so with your exterior right side out and with your lining wrong side out, you're going to put your exterior inside the lining. This is the front of my bag. When I open my bag up, I want to see the slip pockets. So I'm hoping I'm putting it the right way. Slide these two in. Your lining may be bigger or smaller than your exterior, which is the right way because you don't want your lining to be baggy on the inside. So shove it in. Another marathon. All right, shove that in. Line up your side seams. Our zipper is still loose. So with the side seam of your lining, tuck your zipper tails down. And with the side seam of your lining, open up the seam allowance and open up the seam allowance with your exterior and line those two seams up. Opening your seam allowance, butterflying it open, splaying it open, and clip. And we're going to clip all those raw edges together, but line up your sides first, so that you can feel your seams if they're aligned properly. And do the same for the other side. Get those zipper tails out of the way. Line up those side seams and clip. And I'm going to go on fast forward as I clip the lining and the exterior all together, and then I'll be back. All right, we have it all clipped together. So we're going to stitch all the way around and hopefully ensuring that those zipper tabs are out of the way. I'm just going to lower my stitch length to a 2.5, and then we'll just start stitching all the way around. We'll be following the zipper teeth, so I'll be right up against them. All right, we're just going to snip off these little points here. All right, so now we are going to turn and birth the bag. Just pull the bottom out through that big opening. I'm just pulling the lining down. Pull it away from that top edge, because we will be top stitching along there. But not quite yet. Okay, so open up your back zipper pocket. All right, so pull your bottom through your exterior zipper pocket. Make sure you get all of it. My interior zipper is in the way. Zipper pocket is in the way, but pull out everything as best as you can. Pull the interior zipper pocket out of the way too. All right, now we're going to clip the bottom and sew across the bottom edge, and then we're going to make our boxed bottom corners. So okay, stick your lining back inside. Find it. Okay, so shove it back in. Okay, beautiful. All right, that looks good. Poke your corners. And then pull your zipper pocket, your exterior zipper pocket out. And then we're going to turn it in and create a folded seam. So I'll just fold it. It's easier. All right, and then I'm just going to stitch across here at a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to close up that pocket. Everything's getting caught. All right, stick your slip pocket back in, poking those corners out. Oh, there's a thread. It's a medium-sized bag that has a lot of space. Okay, tuck your main zipper pocket in, close that up, and push this all down. Okay, I am going to now top stitch all the way around, and I'll pull my threads to the underside, and I'll do it at the joins here. So I'm going to do it this way. Okay, pull my thread. Tie off the 2 threads that I've pulled. There we go. Almost done. The top stitching anyway. We still have to put the connectors on and the strap. All right, and then tie our threads. That's why I like doing my tie-offs at the sides where the connectors will be. And it'll cover that and or hide the tied knot. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, now we put our zipper pull on. All right, so I'm using an antique brass zipper pull, number 5 zipper pull, and I will be creating a tassel to use with it as well, and just to kind of zhuzh up the front a little bit. So I always wear my bag on the right, and I want the zipper to close right here. So at the back, I have my zipper pull right here. So I have access to it very easy. So I'm going to be feeding my zipper pull on from this end, and we'll put it on, and then we'll pull it all the way to the end, and we'll pull it off, and then we'll put it back on to the center. Pull it to the center. There we go. And pull it all the way off, and then put it back on, and then just leave it kind of in the center. All right, there we go. No bulge. Perfect. Okay, and then I'll have a tassel hanging here, and we still have that to make. All right, so now what we are going to do is trim off this zipper tape. And just trim it off. I'm just going to trim it off slightly above my sewn ends there, and I'm going to burn the ends. Now, I'm going to clip the ends of the zippers because I don't want them popping open. And then there's a certain measurement from the ends into the center here, towards the center, that we might make a mark, a measurement. And we put that on either side of our zipper, it says. So in making the strap, I am making mine, it's going to be a finished 1 inch. So I've cut mine the required length in the pattern, and I have cut it 2 inches wide so that when it gets folded in, it'll be 1 inch wide. Now, I didn't have the right length, so I cut 2 equal lengths, and then I joined it here. And this is, if you haven't joined fabric before to extend your length of your strap, then what you do is, I'll show you here. So you have your right side up like this, and then your other end, put right sides together, and you put them together at a right angle, and you would clip. I'm losing stuff. Clip here and then clip here just to hold them together, and you would sew from this corner down to this corner, which is on the other side. Now, because I can't see this corner, then I draw a little dot here, so I know where to point when I start at this corner and draw diagonal. I know where to point my sewing machine to and finish at this corner. You can as well draw a diagonal line from here to here, so you have your stitch line. That's just what I do. And then when you open it up, it's sewn on a diagonal and it looks like this. Now, and then I fold the two ends in on the other, trim it all down to about 1/2 inch, then fold those, use double-sided tape and fold them to open on the wrong side. And if I wanted to have a definition of stitching, then I would top stitch on either side of here, but I'm not doing that in this particular case just because of how this strap is constructed. And excuse me, so this is constructed typically like a normal strap. Center line drawn all the way down, double-sided tape on either side, and you take the double-sided tape backing off and then fold your ends, your raw ends, into the center line. And then in this particular, and then we would sew, top stitch. But in this particular case, when it's all folded in, then we're going to peel back the double-sided tape on both these ends, put the right sides together, stitch across here at 1/4 inch, and then turn it. So then you wind up having a loop of your belt, of your strap. And then we're going to put it together and then we're going to top stitch. So we'll have two ends that are finished. And I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch on either side. And I'm going to put all of that on fast forward, so that it doesn't take any time, and then I'll see you on the other side. All right, so now making the connectors for our strap. There's a pattern piece, and this will accommodate a 1.5 inch wide hardware. I only have 1 inch wide connectors. These are wide mouth tri-glide strap adjusters for a strap, and they're going to be like a pretend buckle. On the template, there's 2 holes to punch for rivet placement, and then one in the center, and that's for the little pin from your buckle to go into on the connector. But because my hardware is only 1 inch, I made my strap only 1 inch wide, but I made it the way it was written in the pattern. And then I cut my connector piece down so that the center part was 1 inch wide. And then I've used this as a template. So in the center of the connector, you can use Decaville Light or any kind of stabilizer. I've just used duct tape. And then double-sided tape down the center of it. And then you get a piece of extra fabric and then stick it wrong sides together on an extra piece of your faux leather. And then I'm going to stitch around all of this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on both pieces, and then we'll trim it out. And then we'll carry on from there. So I will do that right now. And I will be pulling my threads to the back. So this will now be my back, and this will be my front piece showing. And we'll stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right. Okay, so there's our right sides, and you can tell the wrong sides because I've got my threads tied back and burned. And I'm just going to take a lighter to these edges. That's the right side. That's the wrong side. Okay, there's just a little piece I missed. All right, so just take a lighter to these ends for any fuzzies. All right, so I'm going to get the template, and on the wrong side, I'm going to line up the template. Even though it's not the right size in here, it is pretty much the right size up here. And I'm going to draw my rivet hole placement, and that's on the wrong side. Take our connectors, and because I put the holes on the wrong side, I'm going to put right sides together, line them up, and then I'm going to punch the holes, the rivet holes, where I've marked it, all the way through to the other side. And we're not doing that center buckle pin one. So now we're going to feed our connectors onto our buckle. So I'm just going to fold it up here, put it in underneath, up over the bar, and down through the other hole. And then when I fold it, it'll be right side showing. And I want it to sit like this so that I can get it folded right to line up those rivet holes. Perfect. All right, and I'm just going to clip that at the bottom. The rivet holes are lined up. So one thing I did with the bag was we had to trim the zippers down, even though I've top stitched all the way around. And they're kind of a raw edge. So I really burned them, these ends. This is how I'm reading it in the pattern. But what I did was I added Beacon's Fabri-Tac glue to this raw edge right across the zipper, and then let it all dry overnight, because this is how it's supposed to sit. So do it this way. Line up the zipper with your side seam. So line up your zipper teeth this way with your side seam. Flatten it right down. I'm going to clip it at the sides just to flatten it like this, and unclip it. I am going to put glue in here on both sides. I'm going to use my Beacon's Fabri-Tac so it'll help hold them on. And this is how we're going to connect them. And then your connector is like this, and then your strap is going to hang down that way. But what we need to do is mark where our rivet holes are going to be. Okay, so I have made my marks. Here and here on the back. And I'm going to punch right through everything. Make sure I get everything lined up. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oops. All right, so I'm going to put my Beacons Fabri-Tac on the inside of the strap connector on both sides. And then we'll rivet it in place. Make sure I'm putting it on the right way. All right, I want to make sure that this is going to go through everything. Okay, good. It looks like it will. Okay. Put the rivet through here first. Stick this on. Put the rivets in those holes. Perfect. I hope it's all going to go through. And then put this down. It's working. All right, let me press this. All right, so this is what we have so far. And we have our connectors on going down this way. Now, if this was a buckle, the buckle prong would have been coming up through that center, but I don't have a buckle. So here is my strap. And what I'm going to do is take one end and feed it through here. And it does slide, and then take the other end and feed it through here, because this is the look we want to have with the strap ends hanging down. Okay, so I'm going to have that strap hanging down about 3 inches from the connector. This one's got to come up about 1/2 inch. Too much. I'm just going to put a clip on either side here of the strap so that it doesn't move on the top part, just so it doesn't move. And what I'm going to do is install rivets just to give it more of a decorative look. And I'm going to install rivets evenly down here. And I'm going to use a combination of the, like I did here for my decorative corners, I'm going to use 2 gold and 2 antique brass on each end. Alrighty, so before we show the finished bag, I'm making a tassel. So this is the tassel hardware that I get from Waywack. And I cut a 4x4 square, and on the wrong side draw a line 1/2 inch down, put double-sided tape across that top edge, and then you just cut little tiny strips, 1/8 inch or whatever you want, up to that line. And then we pull the backing off the double-sided tape, and then we start folding and rolling it in, and as tight as you can. You don't want this roll to be loose. And also ensure that as you're rolling it, this edge here stays flat so that you don't have it rolling like a jelly roll with the center kind of sticking up. And there's a chance, depending on the thickness of your fabric, you may have to trim some fringes off in order to fit into that tassel. All right, so I'm just going to dry fit it. All right, so it's a little big, so I'm going to trim off 2 of the fringes. Just cut them off. And then dry fit again. Okay, that's perfect. So that's all I've lost is 2 inches, a quarter of an inch. All right, so what I also try to do is where the back seam is, I call it the seam, where it ends, I try to ensure that that's a little past, it's at the back. Not that you're going to notice any difference, but I make sure that it's not right on where the hole is that we're going to be screwing it. We need to make sure that when it's on, like you can probably just see inside that hole, you can just see the line where it is. Just make sure it's just turned a little bit off so that your screw gets right in there. And I'm going to take some of my, it's similar to Beacon's Fabri-Tac, it's not as good, and this is from Walmart. It says it's fabric glue, but honestly, it does not hold fabric together. So I put a couple of drops in there, just so that the glue will help to hold that tassel in. Stick it back in. It will come out that screw hole. And I kind of just squish it around. Make sure you have Kleenex handy because it will come out. But that's okay if it comes out the screw hole because then that'll help with the screw hole. Find that seam and I just really work it in there. And then I take my little screw that it came with. You may have to take your stylus and poke a hole straight down into the fabric to help start a hole. That does help. And then get your screw. Hold on to this. It's because it's round, you can't put it on a flat surface or it'll roll. And just screw it on very carefully. It's a long screw. All right, there's our tassel. And now the big reveal. And it's done. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now it does have wrinkles in it because I still have to put my hot tea towels inside, heated hot tea towels, and let them sit. But look at this. This is a really nice size bag. So the features of this bag are the strap. Now I did a 1-inch finish strap, no buckle because I didn't have the buckle hardware, but I used this strap connector, and then I've put decorative rivets on this part of the strap so that they match and coordinate with these rivets on our accent corners, which look really great and match our base. And we have purse feet on our base and my bag tags on the front. So this strap, yeah, because the strap that's in the pattern is 1.5 inches. And then on the zipper pull, I put a coordinating tassel. Could have been longer, but that looks great. And then you can just grab the tassel and open and close the zipper. So on the back, we have the zipper pocket. Now I used one of the facing pieces as a zipper overlay for the back, and I wanted it to coordinate with the strap and our feet. And then inside the bag, and our strap connectors are attached over top of the zipper and the ends. And then inside the bag on the back wall, I have a zipper, a zipper pocket as well. It's a fair size zipper pocket. See if I can get, my light down here. There, you can see it now. And I've used the Croco on the inside. And there's our zipper pocket. Big, lots of room. Big enough to put a wallet in it too. And then on the front wall, I have a double slip pocket in here that's big enough to put your sunglasses or keys or whatever. So this is the Mila shoulder bag from Bloom and Needle. This is a really nice pattern. It's a nice size bag, very classy looking. And thank you so much, Phoebe, for asking me not only to be a tester for your new pattern, but also to record a tutorial for it. And I really appreciate that, and I hope I can do more to help you out as well. So this is a beautiful bag, and you'll have to get your pattern too. So thanks a lot for hanging out with me and helping me with this Mila shoulder bag from Bloom and Needle. And thanks again, Phoebe. And we'll see you guys all the next time.